Thanks for listening to the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast, where each week we talk about a free piece or two of technology that you could use in your classroom. I'm your host, Shanna Martin. I'm a middle school teacher, technology coach, and personalized learning coordinator for my district.
And I'm her producer and husband, Fuzz Martin, and I'm at the root of this production.
Hey, that was a pretty good one.
Does that work?
It works.
Okay. I was struggling with a pun today. I had all the pun struggles. It was not pun.
It's episode 100.
Episode 100.
We made it to 100. How crazy is that?
Yes. Can you just like looking back and thinking on things? It was in December of 2019.
It was January, wasn't it?
It was in December of 2019 when I said, hey,
Oh, yeah.
you're really good at this stuff. We should do a podcast. And you're like, and I was expecting you to say, no. And you said, okay. And here we are, 100 episodes later. Congratulations. Good work.
It's pretty exciting.
It is exciting. I'm
fun.
excited for you.
I've been able to share a lot of tech tools with a lot of teachers.
You have. You've helped change the educational world.
Ish. Or at least like a handful of people that I talk to on a regular basis. So
Right.
That's cool. Yeah. So episode 100 is pretty fun. And we're going to talk about, there's a lot of debate about how or what I should talk about for episode 100.
Right.
Because I was like, well, I could do like 100 Google tools. I'm like, no,
Nah.
that's been done. And I was like, well,
We
like
can
I
save
did
that for another episode.
when I did 50 episodes. Remember when we hit episode 50, I did 50 tech tips.
Yep.
And that episode was like 35 minutes long or something because I was talking as fast as I possibly could about like 50 things, which was fun and it worked. And that, by the way, if you ever just want to like listen to something, try episode 50 because I will talk about 50 things in an episode. But I decided for episode 100 that I really wanted to talk about something that was near and dear to my heart.
Yes.
Something that I think there is not enough of. And so I decided that we're going to go in a direction that I just want to talk about it.
Fine.
So-
Yeah. That's your
so that's
show.
what
Your
that's what we're
show,
doing.
your choice. Get it.
So episode 100 today, we're talking about girls in STEM.
Yeah.
I think that there's so not enough opportunities for girls and there's more now. There's more opportunities for girls in STEM careers and teaching kids in school starting at a young age, like all of these different opportunities. Like you get into high school and you're like, oh, you can take a cool coding class or something. But really, you can start boys and girls, but specifically girls at any age to be excited about robots and science and engineering and building all of those things. And then the STEAM aspect where you can tie arts
Yep.
into science and math, like they all work together. So
One thing when it comes to that, I heard this once, and I work in a design kind of world, but regarding the arts portion of it, like anything that you look at, like take a look around you right now in your car or in your classroom or at the gym wherever you're at. Everything was designed by an artist. Everything. The TV monitor, the iPhone that you might be listening to, the computer you're looking at, the microphones we're speaking into, they were all designed by artists, essentially. So, I mean, there's engineering involved, there's math
there's
involved.
design, there's all kinds of stuff that go into it. And the other day you showed me a picture from one of your designers that you're like, I thought it was a photograph. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh no, someone like drew that.
Right.
It's like,
It
there's
was
no way.
Yeah, it was a tractor, and it was rendered, and it was, you could not tell. And
No.
that somebody gets paid
To like
a
design
good
things.
wage to do that.
Yes.
And play with art. And it's really cool. And also, before we get too deep into this, you're very into STEM and STEAM. And before you went to the school that you were at, you were one of the founding teachers at a STEM school, which I had been to a number of times. And I don't know what the ratio was of girls to boys, but it seemed pretty.
It was pretty even.
Pretty even.
We had quite a few girls at our STEM school.
Yeah. And those kids were hands on.
Yeah.
And it was really cool.
Creating and thinking outside of the traditional track that everybody thinks that you have to do something one way, and you don't have to do it that way.
And starting a STEM school is very hard work.
Yeah.
And a lot of time and hours, and not everybody appreciates it. Well, but you put in a lot of work, and your colleagues put in a lot of work, and the school is still going, and it's cool. It's cool
to see the growth over the years and
the success of the kids that went there, and all that.
And now, it's now K. Well, it's first grade through 12th now. So.
Was it only 6-8 when you started? No.
Well, no, there was the elementary school. It was 3-5 and 6-8, and then as my 8th graders moved up, then they added years.
9th and 10th. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Coolness. So we're talking about STEM and STEAM, and specifically to girls. I think that there are a lot of sites out there now to support girls and encourage them into these fields, because there's just there's not as many girls in these fields, and they should be encouraged to try them out.
Agreed.
So our first site we're talking about this week, and I swung back to last season, how I was talking about way too many sites.
This is episode 100. You can do whatever you feel like doing.
So we're talking about four sites today. And the first one is Girls Love STEAM, and it's girlslovesteam.com. And this site houses so many cool resources for girls to encourage them to follow science and technology and engineering and art and math. And it's cool. They have a collection of books. So they have a book list that encourages kids to go through and read these different books on different topics. And they've got 77 websites that connect to different things too. So if you go to their website, it talks about what is STEAM. It goes into, the basics of it, but then you can click on STEAM books, and it's really nice. They have the breakdown. So if you're looking for science books, technology, engineering, art, math, diversity in STEAM books, robotics books, different self and indie published books, STEAM women history books. Mm-hmm. They have a book collection in there. They have, again, STEAM websites broken down by the same categories, so it covers all of the different topics. And I like how they pull robotics separately. I love a little robotics here and there. And so they have different robotic sites built in as well. They also have their own books. They have it's a huge resource to encourage girls to go into different STEAM topics. And what's cool is you pick on something, I pick technology books, it just links to all of the different books that you have offered to you. So what I like is I can go in, and I do teach robotics, so I'm oh, hey, I could use some cool robot books to get the kids digging into their own stuff, or just engaged in learning more about stories that involve girls and robots.
Yep.
It's not always typical, the storylines have changed a bit, which is nice. So how to code a sandcastle we have here at our house. How to code a roller coaster. And not only do these books have a cute story with a girl as the narrator.
Yeah.
But also they use real coding language, which I appreciate. So it teaches vocabulary for coding and then explains it in the back of the book. So not only is it a story, and you can use it for both boys and girls, but then it also teaches you how it works. So that I think is really cool.
I think another cool thing on this site is when you click into a book, it gives you the author's name, illustrator, recommended ages. Right under the main picture of the book, it says, "Is this book about a real woman in STEAM?" And in some cases, it says no. And in others, it doesn't necessarily say yes. It shows a picture of the woman of whom the book is about. So in A Computer Called Catherine, it's about Katherine Johnson, who was she was one of the people from the NASA program that helped do the calculations to put America on the moon. And so it not only spells it out, but it gives a picture of the woman and shows you that it's a real It's not just a story, a kid's story or anything like that.
There's actually like, then here's connected to the person who the story is actually about. So that way you can go research and learn about another woman who is in this field as well. And
also to give inspiration and show that, give an example of somebody who somebody can look up to.
Yes. So yeah, it's a huge collection of awesome resources and connects girls with different STEAM-based resources. And then it also has some explanations with them too, which is really awesome. Yeah. So there's a ton of books and a ton of websites.
Not only a ton, there are 418 books and 77 websites because they spell it out right in the header.
They do, right in the header. It's great. Like, they don't mess around. Like, okay, you want a math website? Well, here you go. We're going to have like a giant list of them sorted out for you with all of the things. So,
got an idea? Send it to them. It says it right there on the site.
Yeah. So girlslovesteam.com, because they do. And it's a fantastic resource to start from.
Very good.
Our next site is called STEM Like a Girl.
Yes.
And this site is really cool. It offers like a bunch of different ways to support girls in STEM. So they have like virtual workshops that you can sign up for. They have like parent-daughter workshops that you can kind of like sign up for. They have a collection of resources, which I love, a good collection of online resources to connect to other things. One of them being Engineer Girl.
Yeah, we did that on episode 38.
Yes, we did. And then those of you familiar with PBS or PBS Kids, Sci Girls, Design Squad, like it links you like NASA websites. So in here, it's some sites that you're kind of familiar with, but also explains like engineering and careers and how you can connect to that. They have another section, so across the top under the resources, they have at-home activities. And so that way they have like a collection of places to then find additional resources that you can like encourage at-home activities and connections to those. So it's another place that you can go if you're looking for STEM girl activities and things that can connect girls to STEM fields, which is pretty cool.
Yes. Speaking of that, real quick, this is not on your list.
Okay.
But our child has been watching a show called Brainchild.
Yeah, she's
on
like
Netflix.
Obsessed with it.
And it's
a science show.
Yes, and there's a woman named Sahana who is the host of the show, and it is very, very sciencey, but also extremely engaging and fun to watch. So I recommend Brainchild on Netflix. It is encouraging, it is sciencey, it is a lot of fun, and we learn stuff as adults, and the kids are picking it up too.
Yes, which is cool. Like, you'll sit there like, oh, that's really interesting. And then she'll rattle off like 15 more facts that she was paying attention to more than we were when we were watching the show.
Yep.
Coolness. We love science. Our next site is called girlgeekacademy.com. And this site is all about getting girls into technology of various forms, along with like coding and things like that. But what's cool is they have Microsoft Mondays.
Okay.
And what it is they run online workshops for a variety of different topics to get girls involved in technology. And you can sign up. You can click and find out more. And you can sign up and join free workshops that deal with technology right through Girl Geek Academy, which is pretty cool. And they have these cool little workshops you can sign up for. It always takes a second to load, so you know, like you can sit there and stare at the screen like, oh, where'd it go? And
give it a second.
It'll load. It'll be
loads.
there.
It's a good site.
And then they talk about like turning tech dreams into reality. Like, how do you make your own video game as a workshop? And then they have a variety of different like chats they have with different tech people and just cool different mentorships that they do. And so you can sign up for these cool like kind of tech workshops that they have on Mondays. So the little Microsoft Mondays.
Yep.
And they have different resources for Girl Geek Academy too. So all three of these sites are very much just encouraging girls. And like we talked about before, Engineer Girl, it's to get girls more aware of what's out there and give them the opportunities that they may not always see in their, just every day. So it's a way to encourage science and technology, engineering and math and the arts and get them all combined together and get girls specifically interested in those fields, which is pretty cool.
Definitely about gender equality and women first. And it's a cool site. And I was going to say, why not Macintosh Mondays? And obviously they have a sponsorship with Microsoft.
Right.
But on the homepage, they also have an Apple sponsorship and Amazon and Lego and a bunch of different other partners that are involved with this program. So very cool. Based out of Australia. And
cool.
Super cool site.
Yeah. So there's one more site I want to talk about. And this one is a little more actually like hands-on-y, I guess. So back in different episodes I've talked about before, I've talked about different coding sites and 3D design and using Tinker and Floor Planner, everybody's favorite website ever. And so all of those you can use with anybody in your classroom. And these sites just kind of highlight things that the girls that are girl geared toward, I guess. But any of those sites you can obviously encourage everybody to use in your classroom. So just something to keep in mind. But the last site I'm going to talk about, it's called alice.org. So ALICE.org. And what Alice does is it is a way to, of course, they have the best description on their own site. So it's block-based programming.
Okay.
To make like simple gaming 3D images.
Yeah.
So you have to download the software and you put it on your computer. And it's nice because you can download it for whatever kind of computer you have. So you can do it for a PC or a Mac.
Okay.
And you're able, or it's like Windows and Macs, and you can download however you need to. And then it gives you the freedom and kind of walks you through the process to encourage like teaching of programming skills and making these cool visual art images that you can walk through. So you almost, it's like building a video game in the steps, like through it. So I've seen some beautiful pieces of, it looks like art almost, that have been designed through using Alice, and it's teaching you a whole lot of different skills as you're working through it, which is awesome.
It also allows you to learn virtual reality and VR stuff, and very cool. It runs on Windows, Mac, and Linux, so it won't run on a Chromebook.
No.
But it will run on Windows, Mac, and Linux.
Yes. So that if you're looking for like a new site to kind of start exploring, if you've done Tinkercad and all those kind of things, this would be, I would say, like the next stepping stone is Alice, to explore like some 3D, like virtual reality design, like you said, and like like understanding programming or block programming and stuff like that. So it is very cool, and something to explore, which would be pretty awesome.
The value proposition from the website is, and it just changed as I was about to read it.
Nice.
But I could tell you when I click back and forth, an easy to use virtual environment creation and animation tool that allows you to craft rich stories.
Yes.
And the logo's super cool. It's like Alice
falling through the sky.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. So that's kind of my, like, if you want to try something out, I gave you a lot of like resource sites this week to encourage girls in STEAM fields, but Alice would be a site if you want to go explore something new, to go check that one out at alice.org.
I was going to buy you a Girl Geek Academy hat.
Nice.
But shipping from Melbourne is
far. Yeah.
$20 for a $30 hat.
That's cool though. But actually, there is actually, now that you bring that up, on each of these STEM and engineer girl sites, they do have donations, and all of them are sponsorships and things like that. And they do have quite a few, because more and more companies are on board. Like I was contacted through Abbott Laboratories because they're trying to push more girls in the fields of science, and things like that. So there are a lot of opportunities out there. And so these are kind of just little stepping stones to say, hey, this might be something cool to try. Like, see what's out there.
Right.
So, yeah.
Definitely. And all good resources and a fitting episode 100.
Hooray.
Hooray.
Well, thanks for tuning in. This has been the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast, episode 100.
100.
If you ever have any questions, you can find me on Twitter at SmartNWI. And if you want to get more information on the links to the technology discussed in this episode, you can visit smartnwi.com. Check out the EdTech Directory because, oh my gosh, there's so many tools you can use in there.
Yeah.
New episodes each week. Thanks for listening. Go educate and innovate.
The ideas and opinions expressed on this podcast and the Smart and WI website are those of the author, Shannon Martin, and not of her employer. Prior to using any of the technologies discussed on this podcast, please consult with your employer regulations. This podcast offers no guarantee that these tools will work for you as described, but we hope they do. And we'll talk to you on episode 101 right here on the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast.